is looking for a new person to come in and, kind of call it, take the reins and take over the place and own the place. So conversation went from renting to, what do we got to do to get you to own this place? And it kind of was one of those, I wasn't planning on having Mansfield full time like it became. It was more just sort of happened throughout the conversation. And next thing you know, once you go tour the place and you look at the place and you make your notes, and you go, okay, this is what we got to do here. Just kind of made that decision to say, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and take this on all the way and make it a big part of everything. So that's kind of how it all started, I guess.
And it has. This is the third year that you guys have been at Mansfield Motor Speedway, and it has happened really fast and a lot. From bringing in all-stars. I believe there's at least one all-star show, the All-Star Sprints the first year. Great Lake Dirt Nationals, which was a huge event. And then you jumped right into Sprint Car World Championship, created the Dirt Million. And it's been wide open for 3 years now. How have you felt about the progress that's been made? I understand before you answer that, there's the insurmountable challenges of weather that everybody's dealt with in Ohio. But specifically talking about the Dirt Million, year one, I was there. That was an incredible event. And how do you feel about the progress going into 2019? Sorry.
So I think, just like anything, again, it's fairly new still. At year three, you're still discovering certain things. You're discovering what works, what doesn't work. Maybe less of those things you're discovering because you've already learned those things. Maybe year one or year two, but you're still always learning a little something. And this year's been no different. One thing that has. And there's pros and cons. I can go through the last 3 years and go, okay, well, this worked very well and this didn't work very well. Or this has been a joy and this has not been a joy. And, the reality is weather has played a big factor in this year's schedule. But you look at the last 2 years prior, it played a factor in the last 2 years as well. So we've learned that in our region, very specific to the Mansfield, call it area and Richland County, weather is unique and it really can play a factor in your scheduling and how you're preparing for events and how you're functioning at events. So, if you look at the history of Mansfield, it's always been a part of it. Even back in the mid 2000s when NASCAR Truck Series was there, I think they ran there 7 years in a row, maybe 6 years, something like that. Well, I think half of them were delayed because of rain or moved or whatever because of rain. And it's like, it does make you kind of start to scratch your head and go, what the heck? Is this place got a rain cloud that always goes over top of it or something? So that being said, we've also had beautiful weekends and a lot of success. So you just got to really understand the situation you have. And that's kind of where we're at in year three. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to have a lot of our events. And we haven't been able to really, we got this new dirt surface we put down and got rid of our rock issue, which became very evident at the end of last year. And we haven't been able to really, put it to full use. So I'm looking forward to the Dirt Million, where we've got 3 days of racing and what, I consider the Dirt Million last year was really an epic event. If you just really look at it in all aspects, just the promotion in the beginning, the unique concept, all the chatter, and then all the way through even the event and the way that the racing played out and the drama. It truly was what I consider an epic event. And hoping for more of the same this year, and I think we'll get some more of that this year.
Definitely looking forward to more of that excitement. And 2018 was an incredible show at the Dirt Million. I have to tell you, you guys hosted a Chamber of Commerce event out at the track here in Mansfield this year. and I was standing beside a friend of mine who is not necessarily a dirt track fan, doesn't know a whole lot about it. And we were talking about the weather issues, and he said, was there any way that you could put some sort of modern open-centered circus type tent over the race surface? And I said, I've never seen anything like it, but if anybody can figure it out, Cody Sommer can figure it out.
Well, I appreciate your confidence, and I will tell you, non-arrogantly, you're probably correct. If anybody's already looked into it, or considered it, it's probably me. I mean, I'm the same guy that I pretty much tell you the square footage of most of the domes in the United States of America, because I did the research, and I again, when I get into something, I'm into it hard, and I'm into it fast and very aggressively. Well, I've looked into a lot of unique things when it comes to promotions and event possibilities, and covering Mansfield is not a realistic option. And then there's a lot that you would have to build and the infrastructure to do it, and it wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense to do it on that big of a surface. But realistically, there are some options out there and some ways that you can do some things to cover some smaller racetracks. But one thing that we have there, we're at the highest elevation in Richland County because we're right next to the airport. Well, we get a lot of the wind because of that. So again, that creates a problem when you start building temporary structures or anything like that. So definitely looked into stuff. I mean, no doubt about it. And, but it's not something I don't think you'll be expecting to see at Mansfield anytime soon.
But like I said, I had no doubt that the discussion had probably occurred.
Cody, as a former racer, how does that aspect of your experience kind of play into what you do today as a promoter?
Well, I think that's going back to what I said, where a lot of people didn't really know me. Again, my last 10, 12 years, everything I've done, I've came into green and new and call it a rookie, and very quickly became good at something. I mean, even back, I can think back to even when I got into the beverage business and climbed right up to vice president of the sales of that energy drink business. And then, even my NASCAR dealings, I came in and I started as a tire specialist, and next thing you know, I was on a setup plate in a cup shop. And it's like, I've always been that way where things happen to me quickly and aggressively. I've always been kind of like the youngest guy there. And, this guy, he's young and he's doing this. Wow. That kind of thing. And I'm learning I'm getting older, and that's going to quit happening at some point. But I guess I lost the beginning of your question there. But a lot of what I think surprises people is to realize I've got all these different experiences. That's one thing, like, I know we're not talking about Scott Bloomquist here, but that's one thing that he really, really recognized about me early on when we started talking about putting something together, was he did not know that I was a racer. Just didn't know that, I know what a Y5 hub is. I know how to bolt this on and how to take it off. He didn't know that. He didn't know that I'm a certified welder. He didn't know that I know how to build a race car from scratch if I wanted to and needed to. Now, is that my job and is that what I do? No, but I can and I could. And that's the part that a lot of people, I think they're starting to realize that about me. The more they get to know me and the more they work with me and deal with me, they kind of have grown to understand that. I think it just caught everybody by surprise that I really can do a lot of different things in our sport, not just the business, not just that part of it. That I can get my hands dirty too.
So how is that? Scott has been out for a little bit. You guys are getting back in. You've had multiple cars on the track throughout the last couple of months. how is juggling that and the promotion side? Are you back on an airplane quite a bit between North Carolina, Tennessee, Ohio? Is that led to a really busy?
Well, I've definitely traveled a lot these last couple of years. But I will confidently say this, and I told him, and I've told a lot of people we work closely with, if I didn't have Jacob Nord, to really lean on in the Mansfield, with everything Mansfield Motor Speedway, period, it probably would not have made the Scott Bloomquist thing even really possible to happen. But just because I wouldn't have just jumped into that and then let things fall short in Mansfield. So I did. When got time to do something with Scott and got serious, I sat Jacob down and had a conversation with him and just basically told him, like, hey, I'm going to need you to step up. And, let's just say if there's 10 tasks on the table where I was maybe doing 6 of them and he was doing 4 of them, it's probably the other way around now, where, he's doing 6 and I'm doing 4. And, he really has stepped up, which has allowed me to kind of venture off and do some other things with some more time. And it's been difficult, but because of Jacob, it's worked, and we haven't had any shortcomings and we haven't had any shortcuts because he's really kind of stepped up and picked up that where maybe I've been, this year's been the least amount of days that I have been in Ohio, at Mansfield. And you wouldn't really know it because of the work that he's doing and other people too. I've got a lot of great people in Mansfield, and that's what's made it all possible. And they make it all happen, whether I'm there or whether I'm not there. They make it happen, and I'm always there when we have an event or we're getting ready to do something big. I'm always there. So, but thankfully I don't have to be there on a day-to-day, everyday basis because they're making it happen. They're handling it.
Yeah, I have to say, from my personal experience and other people that I know, with all of the events over the last few years here in Mansfield, Jacob Nord and now Emma is there, and even interactions with Kenny under the grandstands there. You cross paths. Everybody there is extremely helpful. The entire staff, and you guys have made some true special events for race fans that have traveled all over the country, and it's evident that they're all working really hard.
Dirt Million is obviously coming up. So just kind of give us the lowdown, like how did Dirt Million come about, and how do you think it's going to go?
Well, Dirt Million, again, it was somewhat of a concept pre-Mansfield, where I just wanted to do this really big dirt late model event. In fact, what's funny is I originally had it on my budget and on my plan and all that. It was $200,000 to win 200 lap dirt late model event. And it's just kind of funny to look back at and just kind of think, well, I wonder if that actually was a thing, and you don't really see that. You don't see a race for 200 laps anymore. You just don't. It's hard. And now just kind of thinking back, it probably wasn't going to be a great idea, but it's funny that it was an idea. And there's a lot of ideas that don't come to fruition, by the way, a lot. But Dirt Million, it really, I always had this idea of getting the fans more involved in and affecting the outcome of an event. And that's really where it kind of just continued to escalate. And I started to have the concept of the ticker and the ability for fans to support their driver and therefore help support the event as well. So invested the time and resources into the web platform, which is more complicated than probably people realize. We had to make custom software to basically, when someone checks out, that it adds to the ticker appropriately and accordingly. And there's certain items we have to do manual entry on, but most of those items, it automatically goes. That kind of took a lot of time to get off the ground in the beginning. And here this year, it's been going pretty smooth because now we're in year 2, and we've actually got some new stuff we're getting ready to put out there for Dirt Million because we're kind of in our 30-day window. And in our sport, again, one of the things that you just kind of learn is